Hello everybody, this is Sharen AK Harris and I'm here with another class, and I thought today we would work with perfect pearls. These are dazzling and they're just eye-catching. Great for cards and all of that for the holidays. So I thought I'd show you a few techniques that you can do with it. I'm using my Ranger brushes, and the perfect pearls can be water soluble, so you can add a little water to the cover. I use the cover as a palette. So I put a little pearl in there. And even if they get crusty and hard, you can reconstitute them with just by touching a little bit of water into it, and you can see it reconstitutes. So don't be afraid of it. Don't want it saturated though when you put it in here. You just want to be able to have it damp so that you get a nice little load. And I'm using a stencil, a letterette stencil, and I'm just going to softly rouge this into the stencil and around. I'm not looking for perfect copy. I'm looking for a feeling of a nice feeling of happiness, you know. I want it to feel festive. Okay, that's a little heavy, so what I'll do is I'll wipe it off on my paper towel. Now it's damp. And just rub it on. And like I said, these are great for festive cards, and they're interactive because if you move it, it looks really beautiful. But you can use them with stencils, you can use them with stamps, and I'll show you some of that as well. And it's very versatile, but you can also paint with it. You know me, you got to do a little painting. And I show you how easy it is to do. Now I want this, I'm going heavy at the top, and I'm going to let it just fade out towards the bottom a little bit. So it won't be as noticeable because I'm going to have all my business down here. And I need a good contrast. So I don't want too much light. But you can see, if you look closely, that there's definitely a coverage going on the paper. And then I'm going to lift this off and see what we got. Great reveal. Look how beautiful that is. I mean, seriously. I'm going to pick this up just to show you how it's interactive. You got to move it around. So because we used water, it's stuck on there. It's not going anywhere. It's not a powder. It's more of a paint. So anyway, that looks really, really pretty. What I want to show you next is how to stamp with it a little bit. So I'm thinking I'm going to use a darker green. And put the cover back on. And what I'm going to use is Perfect Medium. And it's like a glue. And if you take your rubber stamp, which I'm using one of Dina's, and I'll list everything in the supply list. All the details. Okay, so all I do is, and you can see the shine on that. Okay, now I want my pumpkin bee here. So I'm going to make like this is a little wreath of green grass or something that it's in. So I'm going to go this way and press it down. And now there's a little less on there. You can actually see it, the imprint. But I want a little bit more on there, but just a very light amount. So I'll just put a little bit more pressure. And you can see it still takes hold a little bit. Yeah, that looks really good to me. Now I'm going to take a little mint. I'm going to take a little mint. I'm going to take a little mop brush that Ranger sells. Put that in there. And then lightly dust. Kind of tapping. I like to tap into things. It gets a nice adhesion. And you're not pushing it too much. And I just tap away, don't be afraid. But I'm not going real heavy because I'm not looking to push it off. I want to keep it into the area. So I just tap away. And now I'm going to cover this. Put my powder back in, my pearls. And then you can fling the back. And it's a little heavy there, so I'll come back and just kind of lift, just fluff it off. And then I give it a spritz. And I'm using a Ranger Mister. And just with that little spritz, it'll set it up like it did because there's water, and water sets up perfect pearls. So anyway, that's going to dry a little bit. Actually, I think I can take a little paper towel and just blot it a little bit, just to expedite things. All right, so the next thing I want to do is paint a pumpkin, because you know I need to do a little painting. I mean, you could do flowers, you could do virtually anything. So what I'm going to use is Sunshine Sparkle. Again, I'm using the cover as a palette. I'm going into some water. I'm wiping off my brush so it's just damp, and I can bring it into my palette. And I can add more. And now all I'm going to do is paint on a pumpkin, and all that is an oval. Or it could be a tall pumpkin, or you could have a group of pumpkins. Don't let this stop you. I just want to show you how to do it so you can do your own ideas. I might add two. I don't know. Every time I do something, I do it different. That's what makes you, really learn things when you keep doing it. But because I'm using water into this, and I'm using it as a paint, it is set and it's in there. It's not going anywhere. So now I'm going to go into a little of the Forever Red. Move that out of the way. I'm going to go even with just a dirty brush and add a little bit of red to the edge. But I'm like making a crescent moon shape. Do you see that? Don't try to think, oh my God, it's not coming out like a ball. I'm not getting the dimension. You just make a crescent moon and then just keep going back with darker color. Oop, got a little heavy-handed there. No worries. You just come back with a little damp brush and look at that. How beautiful is that? It's a little darker in here. A little softer back there. So basically, if you can make a oval or a ball or a long one, maybe I'll make a long one as well to show you. But it just has a little dimple at the top for where the little stem comes out. So that looks pretty nice already. So I'm going to just come back, and I live in Tucson, so everything dries out so quickly. And I'm going to make some ribs just to give a hint. And I'm going to start at the bottom and pull up. And I don't care if it goes all the way. I don't want every rib being very ribby. I want it to be, an impression of it. And people love that. If they want a photograph, believe me, they'll buy one, okay? But people love artwork. So I'm going to make a little stem. I'm going to make it jagged and bring it up and maybe make it tall. Makes it a little more interesting. And I'm going to bring that in a little bit more. I like it. So I'm going to wipe out my brush. And now let's say I wanted some darker areas. I'm going to wipe that brush out really well. And I can just take a damp brush and pull up some ribs if I want. So you can go back and adjust. So you're learning another technique, and that is, don't be afraid. You can come back and adjust, and you can come back and go over it again. So I'm going to turn this because I find pulling towards myself is easier than pushing. So I'm just going to come on, adding just water and working into it, almost drawing into it. See that? Getting a little, and it's not saturated. It's just very damp, the brush. You can even blot it. See how that lifts? And I'm just going to do that over here. And say that gap's too big, so I'm just going to soften it back with the damp brush. You can keep manipulating. You're never stuck. No, you never should ever worry. Just have a good time. Okay, so now I'm just continuing with some of the lifting. Just at the bottom. Okay, now let's turn it and see how it looks. Looks really good. You can also use a letter it pen on here if you want, and just add a little bit of a line. So you get lots of options, whatever you like to do. It's a little bit faster, but I kind of like the slow approach sometimes. But it does expedite things a bit using the letter it pen. And I love these little letter it pens. They're a nice liner brush, well, a liner pen, and but everything's a brush to me. Okay, just giving it a little more definition because I feel like I want to. When do you want to do that? Whenever you feel like it, that's when. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go back again, and I'm going to get a little more of that red into my palette and just mix. And now I'm just going to go again over that area. And I kind of like tapping it on. It gives almost a textured effect, which we all love a little texture. And a little darker at the bottom. But because pearls are so reflective, I'm going to make a little squiggle and bring it down. Let it join. Look how pretty that is. Maybe another one over here. Just wiggle, wiggle. Nope, don't get over crazy. And if you're nervous about that, just take a piece of paper and just practice a few wiggle wiggles. You know, just go and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And you'll find, oh, okay, it's nothing. Okay, so that's pretty nice. Okay, so that's really cute. So you learned how to use that, the stamp and a stencil, but I want to add some highlights. So I'm going to go into some Just Perfect Pearl, which is a white. And I'm just going to bring it into the palette. And I'm going to just highlight these areas here. And wipe out my brush and pull it down. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that's so pretty. I just love making pretty things. I'm going to go into the gold again. I got enough here in my little palette. I'll liquefy it up so you can see how you can reconstitute it. It's not like, oh my God, it's dry and it's no good. No, no, no. Just get it activated again. And I just want to put highlights on this little stem. And remember, I'm having the light coming from the left, so I need to make sure that the left side is what's lit. See what I mean? And we'll just give this a little wiggle. Then it goes under, then it goes over, then it goes under, then it goes over. You know, talk to yourself. Your painting will like it when you talk to them. Okay, that looks pretty nice. I like it. If I like it, I move on. Now I'm just going to tap into everything just to give it a little more so it doesn't look like a line. I like when you make a mess, it looks more realistic. If you keep it real rigid and tight, it kind of loses something sometimes. Not always, just sometimes. Oh, I don't like that mark. So what do? Let's turn this around. I'm going to use a little water and lift it off and blot. You see how easy it is to make a repair. I might want to darken this one. Little rib, and I'll blot. See, I can lift off and I get a little darker look. So lifting is really a very good tool, and you're not stuck when it's, you know, when you're all finished and you got your ribs on there and one came out a little wonky. You just come back and look at how I can soften back in. Not a big deal. Use a little more of that gold and just soften it up. There. So let's pick that up and look at it. Oh, that looks pretty nice. I like it. It looks festive. Now, if you wanted to, let's say you're going to go have a party or something like that, you could always use a stamp. It's just use the Letter It Celebrate stamp. And I'm going to use the Perfect Medium. Just remember that you need to be upright. And I'm going to put it right here. I should use my block, but arrange yourselves a block. I don't know what I did with it. It's around here somewhere. Sometimes I just use my hands. Okay, so now I got that beautiful little Celebrate. I take my mop brush, and I think I would like it to be golden, so I'm going to go back into the gold color, but this time just the Perfect Pearl, and just tapping it on. Aw, look how pretty. You can move the pearl and really load it up. But light touch. I like a light touch. And I kind of like it when it breaks a little bit. It's very artistic. If I want a little bit more, I probably wouldn't care, but that's the first letter. That's important. So you can actually come back and give it another coat if you want. Okay, I'm going to tap this off. And then I'm going to lift off this leftover lightly with my mop brush. I like it. Looks really nice. So now what I'm going to do is spritz it. Make sure you don't spritz it near your... There. It doesn't need a lot. It just needs a dampness on it, and then it will adhere it to the surface. So you can see how beautiful is that. Come celebrate with me for Thanksgiving. Look how pretty that is. And if you want to get crazy, look, kind of like what I do all the time, is maybe add some berries and things. So I'm going to go back into the red, because this is pretty. I love how look how wonderful these little leaves come out. So what's good about this particular collection that I'm using, it's Dina Wigley's, she calls it Kiss Me Under the Mistletoe. What's good is you can use it for fall and Christmas. So you get two uses out of it. And let's face it, we love making cards for the holidays. I'm going to take that and make little berries in here. But I want the berries to walk me over to my pumpkin. And they're just what you would call a supporting actor. So don't get too crazy over it. And just soften any edges you want. See how you can really put some detail in it if you want to? I like that. Okay, so that looks pretty nice to me. I might want to highlight that. I kind of don't leave things, I kind of don't leave things alone too much. I try to really make them stand out and be beautiful. So, I mean, if you put a thing down in one little spot, it'll look really nice. And if you work on it a little bit, it looks even better. And the more layers you put on, the more realistic it gets, just to let you know. So if you want something whimsical, you don't want too many layers. But if you want something a little more tight, you do. I'm going to put some little flowers. Little baby's breathy kind of a flower. And I'm just activating my pearl here. Now I got to tell you guys, these pearls go a long, long way. So one color you definitely need is the perfect pearl, because it's a white. And see how pretty that is? And it really stands out, and it's a beautiful highlight. So I can put a little highlight here on my little berries. And make little flowers. You see how this adds so much when you just keep adding to it. And it makes layers. You can even come back and highlight one side a little bit more on the berries. And you can always come back and put more red in your berries. And use a little highlight there. And I really like that. Okay, that looks nice. And now that I got less on my brush, I might put little pops of little flowers up here and there. And it brings you up to the celebrate, which is where I want you to go look. I want you to see this, and then I want you to see celebrate. So I have a plan. So that looks really, really cute. I like it. Now what I do is I look to see if I need to soften any areas. And this is a little standy outy, so I might just kind of scribble into it a little bit. Scribbling. So if something doesn't look quite right, but you don't know what to do, just scribble. I'm just going to put a little water here. Just a little drop of water, and then blot. I'm going to do it again, and then blot. It just needs to be broken up. It got a little heavy-handed with my glue, with my perfect medium. I mean, you really need that perfect medium. It works so good on this technique. And you can even soften your edges. So even though you're using a stencil, or a rubber stamp. You can soften areas just by going over them with a little water. Wipe out your brush and just soften the mat back. And it just makes a vignette, which means it fades away. Okay, so I think that one came out really, really good. We're going to be doing a lot more holiday cards and all of that because it's that time of year, and we need to start now if you're doing shows or you just want to get ready for your family parties and such things. Okay, that looks really nice to me. I like it. Let's do another project. Okay, blot, done. Here's another one. I just want to show it to you that you could do where it's just a pumpkin, big, and I just pulled lines, and I'm going to show you how I did that. I wanted some leaves. So let's say you don't have any stencils or any rubber stamps, which I can't believe, but maybe you don't. I'm just going to take a little gold in my palette, and I'm just going to show you how I make leaf. First I'll make a line coming down. So it gives me something to put my leaves on. And I just press and lift. Press the side and lift. Press the side and fling. See how I do that? Just press and pull. Turn it if it makes it easier for you. And that's all there is to doing that. Look how pretty that looks. It looks like it's falling off a tree. I love it. Oops. So anyway, there's another thought for you. I'm just going to touch that up. You can always play, right? And it looks really nice. So you got two beautiful ideas there with pumpkins. You could do leaves. You could do, well, we did do leaves down here, but you can get stencils for leaves and all of that. Now, in the holidays are coming, so I thought I'd show you how to do some holiday. But this one here is a little involved, and it's going to take some time. But you can do this. And this one, again, is just a stamp with some berries and the confetti-looking background. I'll give you all the information you need for those items. I just wanted to let you know that one side of the stencil is softer than and the other side is rough. You want to work on the soft side so it sucks into those little grooves, just to let you know. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. Okay, let's do the jingle bells. This gets involved, so I think we'll see how far we can go. I'm going to, again, use that beautiful stencil from Dina. And my particular block is a little small, so I kind of like using this. So we're going to go off the paper coming down this way. Bring this around. Let this be a tool that you love. And maybe this way. Oops. And maybe even a little bit. No, that's good enough. I don't want to overdo it. Sometimes you can overdo it because you're having so much fun. Try to refrain. Not easy thing to do, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, I'm going to use my dark color first. And that's my light color, so that won't do. I'm going to use my Forever Green. I'm going to use my mop brush. Stick it into the color. Tap it off a little bit, and then tap on all the areas I just put on there. You can see it in the light, all of the area. And I want it light. I don't want it too heavy. These are just little ideas of foliage. You can always add more. But I want it light. I can always come back and add it again. Okay, now I'm going to fling it off. And just give it a brush away. Then I'm going to mist it. Because that was not used any, I didn't use any water, so I need to fix it to the paper. And you see how little I use, but yet it will work. Just make sure I get it good. Just a mist. It doesn't need tons of water. And I'll just blot these so I can move on. Okay, I'm going to put this aside up here. And now I'm going to get my sunshine yellow, and I'm going to paint. Of course I am. So I'm going to use my palette and activate it. Okay, let me tell you how to make a jingle bell because it's so easy. You can do this. You're going to say, oh, that's too hard. No, make a circle. Just make a small circle to begin with. That way you're not so afraid. And then let it grow. Oh, however you want your jingle bells to hang. So maybe put a little topper on that. And bring it around. So there's a little jingle bell. But I'm going to put a little water on my brush and just kind of pull it out a little bit more and make it bigger. So see how I can control what I want? I'm not sure, you're not sure. Well, how big do I want my jingle bell to be? Just play with it. Okay, now around the center of the jingle bell is a little girdle. Do you see that? A little ridge. So I need that. And this hole isn't in the right spot. I'm going to have it come up a bit. You know what? I'm not even going to say. I don't even need the hole, but I might make this bigger. And if it isn't perfect, it's okay. It's a whimsical thing. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm going to get some more gold. And I'm going to put it behind here. And I'm going to make this one a little smaller than this one. So this one can grow even if I want to. So I want this one to be back here. And not as bright and light. So I'm letting it be a little more juicy. You see how it's a little darker compared to this one. So keep that in mind. And this one's bigger. And we'll just pull this one a little, so it's in a different direction. We'll go horizontally with this one. This one's got that belly band a little higher. Okay, now we'll add another one. And this one I want to come off the paper, and I want it higher. Just because it makes a little more interest. Now, you don't have to do that. But they're just circles. You can paint circles, and if you can't paint a circle, then you can always use a stencil. Ranger has a nice circle stencil, but that's okay. All right, now I'm going to just get some more of my gold, and I'm going to kind of bring this around a little bit. Bring that around a little more. And bring that around a little bit more. And I want it to come up here, so I'm going to pull down. Find a spot you like for your ribbon and just pull it down and right in front. See how you can go back and forth and change things? Look how beautiful that is already. And I can make this bigger even still. I'm thinking, let's make this sucker a little bit bigger. And I can get a little bit shadowing because I'm using a lot less pearl and more water into my mix. You see how that is? Okay, I'm going to blot that off my napkin. And I'm just going to soften that back there. Okay. I'm going to refine this a little bit more. So this one has a little more back and forth, but I know you can do that. Let's say you didn't want to do all the detail. You don't have to. You could just go right into some water and just draw a line, lifting slowly. I'm just using water and lifting slowly and following that band. Look how pretty that is. So don't worry if you got too big or got too small. You can always repair anything. Then I got these little round holes that make the jingle bell ring. Just add a little water and blot. And then turn it a little bit. And just pull it down. It doesn't have to be accurate. Nobody's going to measure. It's the impression. It's a whimsical thing. So don't really worry. So many people worry. We don't have time for that worry stuff. And we'll just bring that down. And you don't have to do, like I said, the whole thing. And you can always come back and soften. And just tap on it. There. Looks pretty nice already. Okay, so then same thing up here. You might want to put a little circle there, and then a pull. And all you're doing is lifting pearl. And that's it. It's really fun to paint with. I mean, who knew, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go into some of the red. Perfect red. Sounds perfect to me. Okay, so I'm going to go into perfect red, put that in my palette, and mix that up with a little water. And then I'm going to put my dark side in. And again, it's just a crescent-shaped moon. Once you get that crescent idea going on, it's like you can do almost anything. And it's going over the gold, so it's mixing a little bit, and you're getting variation. Now you can have golden jingle bells. You can have anything you want in your world. So maybe we'll do two-tone, golden red. You can do anything you want. Because once you realize how much magic you have, you get a little confidence. And all I'm doing is going over stuff, just going over what we did. And like I said, if I don't like it, I can always lift it off and do something else. But this is looking really good. And just take a little tint of that color and bring it down in here. All right, I like it. Okay, let's go into the perfect pearl again, the white. And I'm putting some into my palette with a little water and mixing it up. And I'm figuring out where I want my highlight to be, right here. So I put a good size load on there. You know, I got it pretty thick because I really want it to stand out. And then I can just come and pull from there, from the center where I put that light, and pull out. So you don't have to worry about blending. It'll do it automatically. You just pull from where you left the white and pull it out and pull. Don't keep going back and forth. It doesn't do any good anyway. And then just one side of the jingle bell, bring that light all the way down. And maybe a little light there and a little light here going in. Okay, that looks pretty nice. I'm going to softly, because I got hardly anything on my brush now, I'm going to put a little shine on one side, a little shine here. I'm going to pull that down a little bit. A little shine there, here. And there's less and less on my brush every time I hit it, so it works out real nice and blends. See how pretty? All right, I'm liking it. And then I'm going back into the red because I want a little more color. And just tapping on it where I want it darker. So yeah, this is a more advanced piece for you all, but I think you're ready for it. And if not, you could just make little round berries. I'm just going to soften that edge and into that white. There we go. And not do so much detail. But it's really not that big a deal to do the detail. And you see, none of my circles are round, really. I'm just adding some more water to lift off a little more so it'd be darker. That's it. Okay, so now what I want to do is work on the ribbon. So I'm going to use gold. And put some more in my palette. And I want a big loop. So all you do is a loop. And this one can go off the screen, off your paper, and just make the loop. But it's darker up here. There'll be a knot in the middle. And I just make looks like two flying saucers. Just two ovals. So you can do that. Okay, so now what I want to do is come back and maybe lift off a little bit of that green in the background a little bit and blot it because I want that dark. There, look how pretty. See, I get a little more dramatic effect. And this is kind of going this way instead of this way, so maybe I'll, what do I do? Okay, so what the heck, let's just take it off. Because this will show you how easy it is to fix something. See? Voila, there's nothing you can't fix. So this particular piece of ribbon was kind of off to the side rather than coming this way. It needs to come down because of the way the bauble stands, the jingle bell. But the thing is to show you how to fix things, because if you know how to fix things, you won't have any issues. Okay, that looks really, really pretty. I like it a lot. So what I want to do is enhance it. And what I'm going to do is go into the red, and I want this to be where the light's coming down. It's coming this way, so this would be darker in here, and I'm going to use the red as a darkening agent. And that's lit. This is a little darker, and it's darker in here. So I'm using, like I said, I'm using red as a dark. Okay. I'm going back in, and I'm going to red it up a little bit back there. Right back here. Get some more red. So I would, if you're going to do Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that, I would get a lot of the red. I would get a container of red, a container of the white pearl, and also the gold and the silver, which is pewter, if you like that kind of a color. And get ready for the holidays before the products are not available, because they'll be getting sold out pretty soon because of the holidays. I'm going to darken back there. Turn your paper and pull towards yourself. Now, that looks good. Now what I want to do is go back with some of the green. And I got a little mix going, but I don't care. It adds more color change, and that keeps things from looking too cartoony. And I'm going to embellish upon that stencil. I mean, that rubber stamp we used. And I'm going to take some of that green and use it as even more of a darkening agent by putting it underneath. Just turn your paper and just follow the line underneath. There's your shadow. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. And like I said, you don't have to do all this, but if you want to you want it a little more realistic, that's all you do. And I'm just going to put a little green there. I went outside the line, so I take a paper towel and blot it off. Not a problem. But I do like this sometimes to have a little more personal feeling into it, so I'd like to add to this, to the rubber stamp, some little nuances. People will say, where'd you get that rubber stamp with all those little diddlies that, you know, with the textures? And you'll say, well, I got the stamp, but then I painted on top of that. So you'll be unique, and your pieces will stand out of the crowd. I'm going to bring this one up in front because I think it adds a lot. And let's bring this one over in this way because it brings the viewer's attention into the painting where you want them to look. Okay, now I'm just tapping it on. And bringing it around. Do you see how this flows down and around? That's very desirable. Maybe put it behind some of these little things. And you can even put a little of that green up in here for a little more dark. So what I want to do now is just enhance it one more time. You don't have to do that, but this looks really nice as it is. But if you just kind of darken it on the edge and then blot, it'll just add a little more depth. So you've taken it from like a beginner type piece, you know, a soft and easy piece to do, to one that's a little more advanced, and you can do that. I know you can. And if you have a hard time, you can always text me and I'll tell you how to get through it. It's not a big deal. Anyway, I just want to bring some of that green right into it, and then I can just tap around. You can constantly activate the pearl for painting. It's a really great medium, and I don't see a lot of people painting with it, so be unique. Give it a shot. I'm just scribbling. There's another thing to say about scribbling. I'm a big scribbler, and I scribble a lot, and I find that it really adds a lot to a painting. Okay, one more hit because I just am a crazy person. And I'm going to blot that. And this is another way to just add some dark. Just blot it off. Once it's activated again, you can see the shadow comes out. But sometimes it takes a few minutes. So, you know, not a minute, but it takes a little time. So just be patient. Put the water down. Let it sit a little bit and manipulate it. And then blot. And now I get a nice soft dark color back there. And I'm just using water. Look how pretty. Now, I think I would like this to have a little more of a shadow underneath. So I'm just going to go back and forth. See that? Just back and forth. And blot. Do it again. So if you're doing it and you're not getting anywhere, just do it again. That's all it is. It's because you're going to reactivate the paint. And this is a little bright right here, so I'm just going to put a little there and pull it. I want this a little darker. And then I'll pull it again. And reactivating. So basically I'm reactivating the pearl and you're reactivating your paint. Look how pretty that is. I really like it. So now I'm going to go into a little more gold. And just kind of add it to the edge. Here and there, just to show which side is really bright and ringing. You can almost hear it ringing when it's really beautiful like that. And let's give this a little width to that ribbon. It was a little skimpy. So let's give that a little lift. Start at the lightest spot and just pull it into this to the dark. And it would be lit here, and then as it goes it softens. And see how it breaks? I love that. Don't always have to have everything perfect. It would be lit here and then nothing, and then it would be lit here. See that? Be lit here, and then it would go down. And a little bit that back there, but not too much. I don't want too much back there. So I think that came out really cute. I'm happy with it. Of course, you can paint this as many layers as you want, and it will end up looking like a realistic painting. It's just a matter of how far you want to go with it. I'm looking for it to look artistic, impressionistic, and fun. Okay, so now time for some berries. Different sizes, folks. You want different size berries. You want some big, especially if they're closer. You want tiny ones. It makes interesting when it's different, when they're different sizes. A little bigger there. Sometimes some little dots that are hidden behind things. See that? So I think that looks really pretty. Maybe little clusters. And I like that. I like it a lot. So when you're painting, you're going to say to yourself, oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Then that means leave it alone and move on. Now look at all the colors we have in here. we've used so many colors. But when you have so many colors, it doesn't look like a cartoon effect, and it really looks pretty. I'm just reinforcing the dark area. And a little more dark back there. And voila, I think we're done. So if you need any help doing these, like I said, don't hesitate to send me a picture of yours. This is still drying. I might even put a highlight on some of the berries, like the ones that are close up. Let's see if I can dry it off. And I'm just going to go into my palette of Pearl. Need more. Okay. Just give it a little touch, just on one side. And it just sparkles it up even more. Just remember to keep your light on the left side. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be in the right spot. Okay, that looks pretty nice. So where do I look? I look here. Do I look up there? Not so much. This is where I want everybody to look. So I want you to look here, and then you kind of go up, and then you look around. So I take you on a little journey, you know. So I think that looks pretty good. Like I said, you can play with this forever, but at a certain point you have to say uncle. But anyway, okay, I would be very happy to send this out to my friends for Christmas. My first Christmas card, and I hope this gets you thinking about what to do for Christmas. And I just want to lift that up to show you how the color changes as you move it. It isn't as light as it looks right here. Do you see that? Look how beautiful that is. So I'll show you one I did before. So this, as it dries, it does change a little bit in the sense that the color seems to set up a little bit more and it gets a little richer. So, but anyway, that and that. I used Dina Wagley's rubber stamp. I use the perfect medium, and this is the one we did today, and this is the one I did before to give you some ideas. So I hope you enjoyed this class and look forward to seeing y'all at my next class. And happy painting, everybody. Bye.